Wilbur took a high road, I'll take a low road. He gave us an overall broad picture of China. I'll go to how to do business in China. After all, the session is on the ground. So I'm shorter, so I'm closer to the ground.
He's already kidding me.
You know, it's very apt that Andy should be sitting here because during the whole of the 90s almost, I had an ongoing debate with Jack Welch, his former boss, about the merits and demerits of investing in China versus India. And Jack keeps saying that I can make money in India, I can't make money in China. I keep telling him that, Jack, you can make money in India, you can also make money in China. The problem is not what you do. The problem is always, how do you do it? I keep telling Jack, I said, you know, I serve on the board of Motorola. Motorola is an American company run by Americans, but they make tons of money there. And in those days, GE was not making that much money there. He even invited me to Crotonville to address the 30-some top executive of the company, and then nothing happened. He came to my home, debated the subject, nothing happened. I'm so happy that just now Andy told me that in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't know if it has anything to do with the departure of Jack, but anyway, happened, no relationship, no, it just happened, all right. He laid the groundwork, and Andy went in for the touchdown, right? But anyway, it's execution. It is not, the opportunities are so great there. Almost anything you do, you can make money. But how to execute it is critical. Let me give you one example. A lot of people say, hey, China is really a less regulated place, is even an unregulated place. So we can have a lot of latitude to do a lot of things. My advice is, don't take it. The temptation is there because the law is not clear. So a lot of people do all kinds of things, including some people from the West in China that they will not do back home. I always remind them, China's regulatory environment is improving very, very fast. Every 5 years, you don't recognize what it was like 5 years ago. And when the regulation improves that fast, the worst thing is the following. Your action today, your action of 5 years ago is judged by today's higher standard of the rule of law. And if you are not careful about it, you'll be nailed every time. So the way I do business, the way my company does business in China is the following. We always follow the highest standard. To us, that's Hong Kong standard, which is basically Western, British, if you will, Western standard. Do that, and you'll be safe. If not, the rule changes. 5 years later, the rule will be a lot tighter, and they will judge your action today by the rule of 5 years later, and you'll be nailed. So don't do that. Another thing about doing business in China that a lot of people ask me about is, hey, China, you know, you have to have guanxi in China. I say, well, you know, in New York City, you need to have guanxi to do business. Last night I was in a taxi and I was listening to the driver talking. He's obviously an Italian, and you bet the Italians have relationships, guanxi, in New York City. So in China, it's nothing different. The only problem with China is the following: is that you don't just need relationship at one level. You really need relationship in all levels. Sometimes I joke, I said, I gave myself another title. I'm not just the chairman of the board of my company. I'm the chief political officer of the company. Now, which country has that? You probably never heard of that title, right? But that's what I do. That is to work the highest level politics. And the reason is this. I never ask for benefits from the government officials. Don't do that. Then you say, why do you build relationship? Is to prevent somebody from socking it to me. Or when somebody sock it to me, I have some way to get back at the guy. Okay, so I never ask for favors. I build relationship in all levels, but that is to prevent bad things from happening rather than get a goodie. But as many of you know, if you have done business in China, that having a relationship in the top level can mean absolutely nothing. And the reason is because China is an extremely democratic country. Don't laugh, come on, guys. The top says something, the lower guys can always do something else that totally negate whatever the senior guy says. And so you need to build relationship in every level. I always say that, in my company, I build relationship at the central government and the provincial government. And my managing director, which is the president of my company, they build relationship in the city, mayoral level. Even the driver of my company has a great function. His relationship is to offer, well, I shouldn't say that, but cigarettes to whoever at the street corners. And the reason is oftentimes there are little things that can hold up the whole project just because a foolish fellow down at the bottom of the echelon just doesn't want to do what he's told to do, and the senior people can do nothing about it. So you have to build relationship in every level, and not just that, you have to keep at it. And the reason is because the economy is changing so fast, the society is changing so fast. If you're doing the right people, they are advancing, promoted all the time. So every 3 years, you don't know the mayor anymore. So you have to figure out who may be the next mayor and begin building relationship 3 years in advance. Hopefully you bet the right guy. What's your betting average? About like Babe Ruth, but anyway. So that is an exhausting thing. And that's why I say that execution is everything. Execution, execution, execution. Another point. There's only, well, maybe because of time, I'll just jump to the last point. The ignorance of China, and in particular doing business in China, is really, really profound. I hear people talk about, the Olympics is coming, 2008, Beijing Olympics. So China is going to have a slowdown afterwards. What on earth are you talking about? Mao Zedong said one time, he said, if you repeat a lie enough times, people will believe it to be the truth. But you know what? Mao Zedong did not invent that sentence. Goebbels was the first one that said it. But you know what? Today, sorry, my good friend Henny Sanders is here. Many journalists are here. Many of them are good friends of mine. Today's journalists do the same thing. They repeat foolish statements without analyzing them, as if it's the truth. If New York Times says something, it is repeated in every other little local newspaper in the whole country, and pretty soon that becomes an axiom that it got to be true. Because if you trace the source, it's from New York Times. I'm glad Tom Friedman is not here. But anyway, what does Olympics have to do with it? Olympics has nothing to do with it. Olympics is just, China's rise has nothing to do with the Olympics. The Olympics is just after you have risen for 25 years. It is sort of a nice thing to do, to sort of tell the world that, yeah, I'm here, that's all, right? And don't forget, Japan had an Olympic in 1964. And then what happened? For 25 years, continued to grow. Because the Olympics has nothing to do with the rise of Japan in the 50s and 60s. And neither will it affect China after the Olympics. So please, don't ask me questions about what will happen to China after 2008. That will only expose your utter ignorance. But of course, that also tells you the power of the media, which is very, very sad. But anyway, maybe I better stop.
Well, Ronnie, that's a great speech here. Andy, I feel sorry, a little bit sorry for you. He already said, well, Jack Welch, just listen to him.
I have no comment on that one.
But the great thing is, Andy has been executing for the last 10 years for GE. So maybe you can share your experience with us.
Great, thank you. The piece of the General Electric business that I run with in China is kind of the big, complicated stuff. I'd say the long cycle piece, the jet engines, the gas turbines, the locomotives. And, so we have to look at things, I think, in the long term. I guess Mr. Kravis talked about that at lunch. We really do. And I'm going to talk about 3 things that we do, which I think was well said by Ronnie, is the execution. And, but before I start doing that, I have to say that those statistics on cars, I don't think they're true. Because I live in Shanghai, and there are not 8 cars for every person in Shanghai on the road there.
It's not evenly distributed.
Yeah, it's not evenly distributed. And if it keeps on going up, then I think the private jet market has to take off along with the helicopter market. Because you won't be able to go anywhere. So and that's a big issue for us every day. And on the Olympics, I want to make it very clear that you can ask me questions about the Olympics. GE is a global sponsor. We're putting a lot of money into Beijing 2008. We were all invited to come.